My name is Tracy Miller. I'm the president of the Louisville Independent School District School Board of Trustees, technically. And I've been a board member since May of 2014. I've served as vice president twice, and then I'm the president currently.
And my name is Danita Bailey. I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called Noggin Educational Foundation, and as well the co-host of a podcast called School Days, Help for Moms and Dads of School-Aged Kids.
My name is David Bailey. I am a middle school advanced mathematics teacher. I teach Algebra 1 and Geometry at a school in Dallas, Texas. I'm also the owner of Noggin Educational Coaching and also co-host with my wife, Danita, on School Days, Help for Moms and Dads of School-Aged Kids.
I'm Dr. Asia Martinez. I'm a professor of rhetoric and writing studies in the English department at University of North Texas.
So regarding the Texas bill that just was passed, how do you feel about critical race theory being taught in the classroom or being banned from the classroom in this case?
Critical race theory is not mentioned in the bill at all. It, I think, refers more to how you teach current events. And so is that new? I don't know that it's new fundamentally from a taxonomy perspective. I think it's new to see something like that in social studies, and it's a reaction to the current climate, which draws on false assumptions that it's being taught everywhere in the nation. I'm not sure that that's the case. I do think teachers have gone rogue. And our position in LISD and its board policy that teachers have to maintain independence. So we can't have teachers teaching MAGA type curriculum or 1776, and we can't have teachers teaching 1619 or critical race theory. That their position has to be a position of neutrality.
I don't think that this is a theory that little Susie or little Bobby can understand. As I said, it took me about a month to research it, and I still didn't feel like I had a complete grasp of it. Now, you asked, do we agree with critical race theory? I don't have a problem with any of the 6 tenets, that the original tenets of critical race theory. I just don't believe that they're being taught in K through 12 education, nor really could they be taught in K through 12 education, because realistically in history classes, they don't have time to stay on one topic for long enough for children to be able to grasp a concept like this.
How can all three of y'all apply some sentiments of critical race theory, or not even necessarily critical race theory, but racism, discrimination, or microaggressions, or just things of that nature that kids will come in contact with from their day-to-day lives?
Let's apply this to COVID-19 and why are people getting sick? And so we discuss those things and the causes of it. And then I talk about the data from the Center for Disease Control stating that people of color are dying at 2 and 3 times the rate. I know particularly for African Americans, dying at triple the rate of white Americans. And so that leads into, now that's where we kind of lead into a discussion of, well, why do you think this happened? And then that comes up topics of, well, people are immunocompromised. So, okay, well, why is that? And then that leads to the whole discussion about talking about food deserts and talking about, healthy options of food. And so it leads to, going to the liquor store or the corner store and getting, hot chips and Takis and sodas and stuff. And over time, that can lead to health issues. We also discuss things like zoning laws and policies that have influenced how people live their lives. And so I'm not necessarily directly per se saying the word CRT, but I'm talking about issues, those underlying issues that are a part of discussions that are brought up in CRT. And I just bring it from a mathematical perspective. So I want my students to not just know the facts of mathematics, but to be able to really think critically about them, no pun intended, so that they can really understand them in a broader context than just taking a test and getting answers correct. on a test. And so this is kind of my way of doing it in the world of mathematics, of objectively looking at the data and looking at how the data is interpreted and looking at how does it impact us and our society.
So I think as parents, just kind of digging into what it is that they're teaching or what it is that they're learning at schools, and going a little bit deeper than what is taught to the students, you're able to bring out more truths than what teachers are able to teach in a regular school day.
My daughter came home from preschool telling me that Thanksgiving was about when the Pilgrims came to teach the Indians manners. And so as a 3 or 4-year-old, she's just believing what her teacher says, and this lie, essentially, that is discriminatory and borderline racist in the sense of what's being said there, what's being promoted. And so that was an opportunity for me with my very young child to talk about, well, no, that's not accurate. That's not what happened. And here are some other things, here's a discussion that we can have about why Pilgrims teaching Indians manners is probably not a great way to think of Thanksgiving. So, I mean, you can do this from a very young age, but it requires some involvement and some awareness and knowledge of what is being taught to your children, because they're learning. It's back to the question about how easy is this stuff to learn. The younger the child, the more they're a sponge, right? Like they learn and perceive everything.
So do you think teachers and parents within itself know enough about critical race theory to either be for or against it in the classrooms?
I don't think either party is proficient on the tenets of CRT, and they make assumptions then that school districts or particular schools teach critical race theory. The fact is that where people are wrapped up is that they're tying anything related to diversity, equity, inclusion, or social emotional learning to critical race theory. That's a false statement. They're also assuming that teachers in social studies and in history in particular are teaching white privilege. So if you have a more woke element of teachers, that they would be teaching white privilege. That again is a false, it could be that a teacher's teaching that, and we've had that, but we bring them back to center that that's not what they should be teaching, because that's not what's in the TEKS. It's not that the TEKS don't teach white privilege, it's that it's not a topic that's discussed predominantly.